Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
Oh, hi, everybody. Ezra Levant here. It's November 27th. Sorry to keep you waiting for a few minutes there. We had a little technical glitch. I don't know exactly what it was. But we're here, and you are too, and that's all that matters. Thank you for being here. I think most of you are repeat visitors, repeat offenders. I say that only half jokingly. As you know, we start off a lot of our videos with that censorship warning, because if we don't, we could get a strike. If we talk about ideas related to the pandemic or other issues that contradict official sources, YouTube will give us a policy strike. I don't know if you know what I mean by that. If you steal someone's copyrighted material, like if you downloaded a Hollywood movie or a pop song and you uploaded it to your own YouTube account, you're going to get a copyright strike because you're stealing copyright. And that's the law, and that's good practice on behalf of YouTube. So we're very attentive to that, and we're content creators ourselves, so we don't like people stealing our stuff either. But just about a month or so ago, YouTube said, oh, you guys had a non-standard opinion on the pandemic. I said, what are you talking about? We're very, very attentive to the facts. And they said, no, you interviewed someone at a protest in what we call streeters, like Vox Pop, man on the street interviews. You just put the mic to random people, you don't even ask who they are. And someone said something that was contradictory. I think they called it a scam. And YouTube said, oh, you're denying, you're a denier. So we're giving you a policy strike. I mean, you can be a denier of anything except for the official opinion. So we have to, YouTube said we have to put that warning up at the beginning of our videos where we talk about pandemic issues. We have to put that warning up, warning people that the facts they may hear are not standard official facts. And if we don't put that warning up, we could get another strike, and then 3 strikes, you're out. So we added the warning, censorship, warning, censorship. We added that because I'm not going to put a label on our material disparaging it, diminishing it, negating it, under command, under duress, without letting our viewers know we're doing that under duress. So that's what that's all about. What a month this week has been. A month's worth of news. Would you agree with me on that? Of course, the hero of the week, most unlikely, Toronto. I'm going to call him, I don't think he's a hipster personally. I don't think he's wearing his plaid and his hat ironically. I think that's who he is. I think his restaurants are the hipster favorite in Toronto, and I say that having been to them in the before times. I went to Adamson's Barbecue in Leaside, which is a fancy Toronto neighborhood, not fancy, sort of hipster Toronto neighborhood. Such a long lineup. Everyone was so cool, and who knew that the brisket maker to the hipsters would turn into such a resilient and tenacious and stubborn freedom fighter. Where did that come from? I don't know, but I like it. 3 days in a row, he divided the government. Can you grab that Paliano tweet, that one from the Star? I think I emailed it to you. JPags is her Twitter account. Oh, I'm going to read the super chat. I see an amazing super chat by Timothy Powell for £50 sterling. That's just amazing. But I will come to the super chats, I promise. But let me show you this. This is a tweet by Jennifer Paliaro, if I'm saying that right. JPags is her Twitter handle. This was from yesterday, I think. And I don't want to bore you, but there's something in here that I think is important. Police updating reporters now on Adamson situation. That's the barbecue restaurant. I'm watching on CP24. That's a Toronto TV station. Last night, De Villa, that's Toronto's public health officer, last night, De Villa gave police powers under Health Protection and Promotion Act to seize the property, and they changed locks. Hang on a second. So some unelected, unaccountable health bureaucrat gave the police the power to be her little army? Is that how police works in Canada? That they can suddenly be the street gang for some health I wouldn't call her self-proclaimed expert. She was hired by the city. Is that how it works, though? Just some health board can say, I don't like this restaurant. I'm sending in 100 police and the mounted police, the riot squad. Let me show you this amazing video that our friend Lincoln recorded yesterday. Lincoln was down there with David Menzies, and perhaps the most amazing footage to emanate from the entire event. Look at this, just to remind you. I'm sure you saw this yesterday, but look again.
Shame on you! Stop it! Get it off me! Shame on these police! Shame on these police! Look at what they've started now! You're a hero, Adam! I love you guys. Move back! Small business! Small business! Stop, motherfucker! Get back! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! How does it feel to stop families from feeding their kids? You're stopping them from feeding his kids! Adam, we got your back. Who's gonna feed this guy's children? Who's gonna feed his kids? Who's gonna feed his kids?
We need this car! Move back! Get back! He's got my wrist, bro! Get back! I'm just adjusting these guys! Shame on you, brother! Shame on you, brother! He's a hero! This is a hero!
Absolutely fine videography by Lincoln. Just so riveting, so many things there. The charging horses. You're charging horses at whom? Was there a riot? Was there some terrorists? Was there like a street gang? Was there fisticuffs? Was there a gunfight? Was there a knife fight? You charged with the mounted police, riot squad style. Why did you do that? Why did you have 100 police there? Is it true that an unelected, unaccountable health bureaucrat who knows nothing about policing, nothing about the law, all she knows about is what the World Health Organization tells her that week about the virus? Put that JPEG tweet back up if you please. Some unelected, unaccountable health bureaucrat can seize control of the army, really. Like, there's no difference between seizing control of the police and seizing control of the army. Other than the army really can't go to war against its own people, but the police can. Police updating reporters now on Adamson's situation. I'm watching on CP24. Last night, Davila gave police powers under Health Protection and Promotion Act to seize the property, and they changed locks. Since when does a bureaucrat press gang the police into her personal service? And since when do police go along with that? And since when do police say, yeah, we'll send 100 men and 4 horses and 50 cars? Can you do me a favor? Can you call up the Health Protection and Promotion Act? I should tell you that last night, it's a very complicated, densely written, poorly written law that is full of legalese and no plain language, and it's been amended and updated, and it touches on other laws. It's junk law designed to be incomprehensible. And do you think that the Davila, the health officer, knows what it is? Do you think those cops know this law? I don't know it, so I read it. So last night, I saw that tweet and I said, really? So some public health bureaucrat that no one ever heard of 6 months ago waved her wand. Now, thanks very much. And can you do, you know how you do that Command F to search for something or find it on the page? Can you search the word police? I'm trying to remember the words I searched. Yeah. So how many hits are there of the word police? Look at the top, 11. Okay, so detention facility under the Police Services Act, that's if someone needs to be quarantined. Can you pump up the size just one notch for my old man eyes? Okay, police assistance. Let's read this. An order under this section may be directed to any police force in Ontario, and the police force shall do all things reasonably able to be done to locate, apprehend, and deliver the person in accordance with the order. Now, scroll up just a tiny bit, because what section are they talking about? Look at this. So, okay, right there. So, police assistance, you see that? Okay, scroll up a little bit. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then there it is. Upon application by a medical officer of health, a judge of the Ontario Court of Justice, in the circumstances specified, may make an order specified. Okay, so we're in section 35, and stay with me. I'm trying not to bore you. I want to learn along with you. Twice now we read the report from the Toronto Star that De Villa, the public health officer, commanded the police to raid this restaurant. We are in the law referred to, and then we're going through for the word police, and we're looking at a section called order by, do you see that right above the number 35? It says order by, does it say order by the officer of health? No, it does not. It says order by Ontario Court of Justice. So now let me explain the words here. You may not know it. I'm a former lawyer myself. I haven't practiced in many years, but I know the law enough to know what this means. It means upon application by a medical officer of health, a judge of the Ontario Court of Justice, in the circumstances listed below, may make an order. So the medical officer of health, Miss De Villa, she goes to the judge. She applies to the judge, and the judge makes an order. Do you see what I'm saying there? This does not say a bureaucrat may command 100 cops. This says a bureaucrat may go to a court and ask the court for an order, only in the circumstances specified. And now what are we even talking about? And this is going to surprise you. It's just to pick up a guy who's like spreading cholera. Let's read it together. When court may make order, okay? An order may be made under subsection 3, we'll get there in a second, where a person has failed to comply with an order by a medical officer of health in respect of a communicable disease that is a virulent disease, A, that the person isolate himself or herself and remain in isolation, B, that the person submit to an examination by a physician, C, that the person place himself or herself under the care of a doctor, D, that the person conduct himself or herself in a manner so as not to expose another person. So stop right there. This court may order the cops to do what? The public health officer goes to the judge. The judge can do what? We just read it. Pick up a guy that's spreading a disease around town. You got a guy with the bubonic plague. You got a guy with cholera. Hell, you got a guy with COVID running around coughing on everybody. The medical officer of health can have that person rounded up. By calling up the police chief? No. By going to the court. I just read it with you. So if De Villa is upset with someone because they're coughing on anybody, she goes to the court. She asks for an order. If the judge agrees, the cops can do those 4 things I just can intervene and do the 4 things I just listed. Let's read the next one, contents of order. In an order under this section, the judge may order that the person who has failed to comply be taken into custody, be examined by a physician, and be treated. Okay, none of that applies to Adam Skelly here at all. He's not sick. Capability of the hospital, delivery to the hospital, police assistance. An order under this section may be directed to any police force in Ontario. The police force shall do all things reasonably able to be done, apprehend and deliver the person. So this is about someone who's walking around coughing on everyone. care and treatment. Okay, so keep looking. So I've just shown you that all these references of police are if you've got a guy, a typhoid Mary, who won't stop coughing on everybody, the public health officer cannot say, hey, police chief, send in 100 cops. No. She's got to hire a lawyer, go to a judge, convince a judge to make the order. The judge gives the order goes to the cops pick up the cougher. None of that applies. Can you go back to that law and keep searching the word police? Because I'm trying to prove, if you're wondering what I'm doing here, I'm trying to prove to you that this law, at least in my, and I'm not going to call myself quite a layman, although I have not practiced law, keep searching for the word police. Detention facility. So we've gone through it. How many instances are there? 11? That was the first 6. Number 7, keep going. Next one. The justice of the peace. Okay, scroll up. This may help us here. Maybe there's an answer here. All right. Do you see 43? You see near the top it says warrant by justice of the peace. You know what a warrant is. It's a fairly common word. It's like a search warrant or another kind of order. It's another way of saying an order. So let's read this together. We're learning together, okay? 43:1. Where a justice of the peace is satisfied on evidence upon oath. So you go to a judge and you swear a statement. So you don't just call up the judge and say, gimme. There's a little hearing. You swear evidence. A, that there is a reasonable and probable ground for believing that it is necessary, 1, to enter and access to through any premises, 2, to make examinations, investigations, tests, inquiries, and 3, to make, take, and remove samples, copies, or extracts related to an examination, investigation, test, or inquiry, or to do any of the such things for the purpose of the Act, the enforcement of any section of this Act by the regulations, the exercise of a power or the carrying out of a duty under this Act, or the regulations, or the carrying out of a direction given under this Act, and B, that an inspector appointed by the minister, a medical officer of health, a public health inspector, or a person acting under the direction given by a medical order of health, 1, has been denied entry to the premises, 2, has been instructed to leave the premises, 3, has been obstructed, or 4, has been refused production of anything or any plant or animal related to an examination, investigation, test, or inquiry by the occupier of the premises. Okay, slow down for a second here. I read all that in a hurry. So just scroll up a tiny bit more. So what did we just read? A judge who has sworn evidence that there's reasonable grounds to believe that it's necessary to get into a place or do anything in the place. So it's necessary to get in, and that an inspector has been denied entry, instructed to leave, kicked out, obstructed, by the occupier. Only then, let's read now from the bottom, the justice of the peace may issue a warrant in the form prescribed by the regulations authorizing an inspector appointed by the minister, a medical officer of health, a public health inspector, or any person, or any of them, to act as mentioned by force if necessary, together with such police officer or officers as they call upon to assist them. So let me put this in plain language. If there's some place that the health inspector can't get into, if they're denied entry, if they're kicked out, if they're blocked, and there was a reason to get in, you can swear evidence under oath, go to a judge, and the judge may, if he is persuaded by you, may issue a warrant. And then the cops can go in. Now let's just do a few obvious things here. The cops were not denied entry, were they? The cops were in the whole time. Number 2, there's a hearing. You go to the judge. You present sworn evidence. I don't believe that happened. Go back to the law. I know we're doing a lot of law talking here, but I have a theory. I'm testing it out here. I'm reading this with you. Execution of the warrant. A warrant issued under this section shall be executed in a reasonable times. Expiry, application without notice. A justice of the peace may receive and consider an application for warrant without notice, so you don't have to tell the other person if that's appropriate. Right to a hearing 44. An order by a medical officer shall inform the person to whom it's directed that there's a hearing, blah, 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 oral order, effective order. So this clearly was not done, and it doesn't even apply because Skelly wasn't keeping the health inspector out. Go back to that document and search the word police. I'm trying to hunt down every single instance of the word police there. We already looked at that one. We looked at that one. Oh, that's the last one. So it's just replacing police force with police service. It's just a wording change. That's it. My friends, we have just read all 11 instances of the word police in that law. What's the name of that law again? Scroll all the way to the top, if you please. All the way to the top. So we're learning together here. Thank you, Justin. It's a long law, isn't it? No one understands it. The Health Protection and Promotion Act, as you can see, it was, looks like it was updated on July 8th, probably in some emergency session. And thank you. So I don't want to spend more time on this, but now let's revert to that tweet by J. Pags. I don't know how to say her name. Jennifer Pagliaro, is that how you say it? I don't want to get it wrong. Jennifer Pagliaro. I don't think you say the G. Police up, so let's read this tweet again, okay? Police updating reporters now on Adamson's situation. That's the restaurateur. I'm watching on CP24. That's a TV station. They hate Adams. They hate Adam Skelly. Last night, Davila, that's the public health officer, gave police powers under the Health Protection and Promotion Act to seize the property, and they changed locks. My friends, we just spent 10 minutes going through the Health Protection and Promotion Act. You were there. We searched the word police every time, didn't we? We looked through all 11 words. Now, I didn't read the entire law. It's an awfully long law, but I thought police powers. And you know what I saw? And Justin, you tell me, have I been clear? I don't know if I'm speaking legal gobbledygook. Let me tell you what I take away. Number one, this unelected, unaccountable bureaucrat who is not a lawyer, who is not a judge, who is not a policeman, does not have the power to do stuff without permission from the court, right? In two cases there, you have to go to court and make an application. That means ask for something from the court. In the second case, it's on sworn evidence, right? I think one of them, one was a justice of the peace, the other was a particular court. So it is possible for a health officer to get the help of police. That's for sure. And what were the two things? Do you remember the two things in the law that the public health officer can get the police to help her with? I remember them, I think. Getting old, my memory. I'm having a Biden moment. I'm kidding. Number one, if there's someone going around town, Typhoid Mary, coughing on people, right? The first one is, if there's someone going around town spreading the disease, you can get him grabbed, tested, treated, quarantined. Now that's a pretty brutal thing. It's like basically a legalized kidnapping, right? And so we don't just let tyrants do that. You got to go to a judge. And maybe you can convince the judge. But a judge, if a public health officer says, Judge, I want to literally grab someone off the street, strap them down, and inject them with a medicine, I would hope the judge goes slowly before approving it, doesn't rubber stamp it. But that first section was what do you do with someone who's spreading a disease and isn't, being cooperative? Well, you can ask the judge for an order to apprehend the person, examine him, treat him, quarantine him. Okay, that does not apply. But even if it did apply, you have to go to a judge, am I right? And the second instance, what was the second instance? You're sending your health inspector in, but he's obstructed, but he's blocked, but he's kicked out, but he won't be let in. All right, that did not happen. Everybody except their dog was allowed in that restaurant. The cops were inside. Anyone was inside. There was no gatekeeper. In fact, the only people obstructing the building were the cops. We looked through every instance, all 11 counts of them, of the word police in that law. Nowhere in that law, and I didn't read the entire law, it's a very long and lengthy law, but we searched for the word police, and I reviewed it last night, and it's a dense law, and I'm not saying I didn't miss something. Maybe I missed something, but I don't know if I missed something, because I went through every use of the word police. And would you agree with me that although that law contains some strong powers, do you see the check and balance in there? What's the check and balance? The judge. So you might be a celebrity doctor in your own mind. I don't even want to call these public health officers doctors, because although they do have an MD, they don't treat patients. There's all the difference in the world between a medical doctor who treats patients, thinks about patients, tries to help a patient. That's not a politician. That's someone who's helping a patient. And then there's a public health official, has no patience, thinks about us all like ants in an ant colony, and is enjoying the press conferences every day. Real doctors don't really do that, because first of all, there's doctor-patient confidentiality. You can't just blah, blah, blah. I have this patient with a really strange growth. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You got to have confidentiality, and you're about caring for that one patient. You're not about, peacocking for the cameras, like Theresa Tam and Davila and the other 100 extremely overpaid public health officials in this country. We looked up Davila yesterday. What does she make? Over 300 grand, right? Over 300 grand. Nice work if you can get it. Listen, if you're a doctor working 60-hour weeks on call, I don't begrudge a doctor making 300 large. They went to med school. They're pretty smart. This Davila, she's working 35-hour public sector weeks, and maybe she's working a few extra hours, but she's making that money year in, year out. She doesn't have patients. She's not doing surgery. She's a political blah, blah, blah. But I'm not here to disparage her. I'm saying that the law puts her in her proper place. You're a bureaucrat. You're some politician. You might be smart. You might actually be right. I'm sure you're very nice. But you are not a tyrant. You are part of a machine that has built-in checks and balances, even in the case of an emergency. They say we're in an emergency. I think the statistics belie that. But I just showed you that every mention of police in the Act requires you get a judge to sign off on it first. Could you imagine if every little bureaucrat could just call up the cops and say, take out my enemy. This restaurateur is embarrassing me. Shut him down. We saw that little tyrant, John Tory. Can we get that Tory clip? Colluding in real time with CP24. And later that night, in a bizarre press release, the city put out a press release rebuking the mayor, saying, you don't direct police that way, boss. But if that tweet by the Toronto Star's Jennifer Pagliaro is correct, I put it to you, and listen, I've just showed you my work. If I've done something wrong, correct me. But I read through it with you. You can only get the cops involved if there's someone coughing all over town and he won't stop, or if there's someone won't let you into a place and you need to get in. Neither of those apply. I searched every instance, thank you, Justin, of the word police. Now, maybe there's some other section, but I don't think so. I don't think so. Both cases, you have to go to a judge. Give me the Pagliaro tweet if you got it. Let's read it one last time. Did she go to a judge? It sounds like she did not. Police updating reporters now on Adamson situation. I'm watching on CP24. Last night, Davila gave police powers under the Health Protection and Promotion Act to seize the property, and they changed the locks. Seize the property? That is not even contemplated in the law. Seize the property? Show me where that's contemplated in the law. Seize the property? Seize the property. Expropriate. Why don't you just take his house? gave powers. Is she the giver of, is she Moses, the giver of laws? She gave powers. You know, why didn't she just command the army? She has as much right to command the army. Why didn't she launch a CF-18 fighter jet strike on Adamson's barbecue? She has as little authority to do that as she does to command the police. But the real question is, listen, some quack can go on about how she's queen of the world, but for the police to abide it and agree with it and submit to it and obey it. I could call up the Department of National Defense right now and say, I order an airstrike, and they would hang up on me and call me a kook. Imagine if they say, okay. It's not just Davila who has to be questioned. The police chief, the police commission, every one of those 100 police. So you now take orders. You take orders from a health official. That's not how it works, at least not under that law that was cited by JPAGs is her handle on Twitter. I think I'm onto something. What do you think, Justin? I'm probably missing something, but I went through what was said in the Toronto Star there. That law, from what I can see, does not give that power. I don't see it. Now, there's other laws that might. I never heard of that. I never heard of police being dispatched by some bureaucrat. We have oversight of police. You ever heard of a police commission? You got the chief, but even the chief responds to a commission. We don't have private armies here. Politicians don't have armies. Bureaucrats don't have armies. They just don't. They just don't. I do not think that raid was lawful. At least if it's as described by Pagliaro there. There's a what? Seizure? Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at it right now. Justin tells me the word seizure's in the act. Great, let's take a look. Section amendments with date enforcement, seizure. A medical officer of health or a public health inspector who is of the opinion, upon reasonable and probable grounds, that a condition of any substance, thing, plant, or animal other than man is a health hazard, may seize or cause the seizure of the substance, thing, plant, or animal. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. To me, the plain reading of that is that it's like a diseased dog with rabies or a diseased plant with, I don't even know. I think that very, very clearly talks about what is being seized. You can seize. What's that? Well, yeah, well, it sounds like, well, let's keep reading. Examination. The medical officer of health or public health inspector shall detain the substance, thing, plant, or animal pending such examination as necessary, or as is requested by the owner or person from whom the substance, thing, plant, or animal was seized, to determine the existence of the health hazard. So is this thing a danger? So it would be like, it would be as if, you have bad smoked meat. There's E. coli in your smoked meat. Seize the thing and test it. Justin, I think that's the meaning of that word, seizure. But they weren't seizing anything at the restaurant. They didn't seize anything. There was nothing to be seized. There was nothing infectious at the restaurant. That wasn't the charge. The charge that he was open and breaking the gathering. You see what I mean? They didn't say you're serving meat that's dangerous. And if so, he didn't stop them from testing it, right? These laws are there for if someone, I'm just going to cook up some scheme. If someone's got 100 cats, in a house, and they're underfed and they're diseased, and you find this house of horrors, and you come in and they won't let you in and you're worried. That's what I think that kind of language is for. Oh, they're obstructing, they won't let you, I need to get in. Oh, we have to test the animals that got. I think that's what that's for. That's not to shut down a restaurant for gathering, for social distancing reasons. No one has claimed, and it certainly is not true, that his brisket was the problem. I think we got something here. What I need is a lawyer who knows these laws. Trouble is, none of them do, because these laws are vague, poorly written, and are very new. And I can assure you that the police who rode those war horses in did not know the law. And it sure sounds to me like Davila doesn't know the law. Of course, the Toronto Star doesn't know the law. And the mayor doesn't care about the law. Here's the mayor colluding with CP24, a left-wing media outlet, on how they're going to get this guy come hell or high water. Take a look.
To our behavior at Christmas.
Mayor John Tory, we will leave it there today, and we'll all wait and watch to see what plays out in at Adamson Barbecue today at 11 when that is supposed to open. Have a productive day. We'll chat with you again Friday.
Don't give this guy too much publicity. You know, it's a political, a lot of this is a political stunt. So, you know,
absolutely.
Let's be careful about that. We make a hero
but I mean,
out
that's
of this
the
guy
thing.
when, in fact,
if the police had
he's
shut it
thumbing
down,
his nose at the system.
If the police had shut it down quickly yesterday, we wouldn't have given them that much publicity. That's part of the whole problem, right? I mean, the longer this is allowed to stay open, the longer we have to cover it.
I don't think it'll be open for long today, if at all. It shouldn't be open at all if this man was any kind of a respectful citizen and a person who really wanted to, respect the best interests of his fellow Torontonians.
All right, Mayor Tory, appreciate you joining us. We'll chat again soon.
Yeah. Hey, stop giving him coverage. Okay, I will, but you got to shut him down. Okay, I will. Okay, I think it's going to happen very soon. And indeed it does. Yeah, that's how they roll in a banana republic. We got a ton of super chats. Thank you for those. Let me read them. Thank you for, I wanted to go through that for my own purposes. I was just glancing. Someone said, ask your lawyers. I have. In fact, in our morning meeting, our lawyer was on, and I asked him, he's not an expert in this stuff. I said, give me a criminal lawyer who knows this stuff. The thing is, no one knows this stuff. You saw, the law was July. Hasn't been tested. Let's read some super chats. I think I'm onto something here. Have you ever heard of the phrase fruit of a poison tree? You ever heard that phrase? My hypothesis, I'm not yet ready to make it a conclusion, but my hypothesis that I'm testing, and I tested it with you for 20 minutes, is that this raid, use a little Latin, I didn't do well with my Latin yesterday, that this raid was void ab initio, from the beginning. That this raid was illegal. This raid had no authority. It was, another Latin word, ultra vires, outside the power of the state to do. And so anything that emanated from it is fruit of a poison tree. That's my hypothesis. I agree with the chatter who says, Ezra, can you get an expert lawyer? Well, I don't know even who that would be. But I do not believe that even in crazy Canada, that you can simply order police to raid your enemy's house or restaurant without a court order. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. There is a check and you cannot roll 100 police by picking up a phone. Not even the Prime Minister. And some jumped up public health officer? No, sister, you're not the Queen. You're just a bureaucrat. Let's read some super chats. Is the first one from JG? Looks like it. $10. So Edmonton police are now arresting people and taking them to camps if they test positive and don't quarantine for 14 days. Can the small business gather together and start a class action lawsuit? You sent me an email to this effect this morning. And I didn't have time to write back. I rarely do. But had I had time to write back, and since you raised it to me now, I ask you for proof. Because while that's a tantalizing thing to write, I have no evidence of it. If you have evidence of it, please bring it to my attention right away. Mark Cougar, $5. Pastor Henry Hildebrandt was given a summons this morning for protesting in London last Sunday. Now we are ticketing pastors. Oh yes, don't you know, our very first case, can I get the the B-roll of the pushing and shoving. Our very first case in Fight the Fines, back in the spring, was a Christian pastor named Artur Pawlowski, who truly ministers to the lowliest amongst us. You know, there are homeless shelters, there's soup kitchens kind of thing, but there are some people who are so low in life, who have fallen so far, that they are banned from soup kitchens, from homeless shelters. Can you believe it? Well, yeah, if they're fighting, if they're on drugs, if they're a danger to themselves or others. So there are some people so low they literally fall through the cracks and they're on the street. And look at this footage. It was snowing out. That's how long this pandemic's been going on for. And so this Christian pastor, you can see his pickup truck there, was feeding the homeless. And a pack of police come and push him. Now that's not Arthur, that's Arthur's colleague. And they pushed him around and said, social distance. Give me some more of the footage. Skip past Key in there. Yeah, look at this. So that's Arthur Pawlowski on the left there, dressed in camouflage. Look how cold it was. Look how cold it was. Everyone's got the gloves. The cops have their hands. Cops have hats on. What's Arthur doing out there? Look at all the cops. Look at all the cops. Did Arthur, and they got the ticket there. Did Arthur phone in a bomb threat? Did Arthur shoot somebody? Did Arthur, what did he do? I swear to God, he was feeding you could see his food on the ground there. You could see the food there. The police said that's an illegal gathering, said the police as they themselves gathered. Our very first $1,200 fine for Arthur. And they pushed his colleague around. We took that case and said to the prosecutors, let's rumble. The prosecutor looks at this and says, I'm not prosecuting this junk. Throw it out. We've taken 14 cases in Canada. We've taken a number of cases in the UK. We've taken cases in Australia. I think we've had 4 or 5 being dropped already, just when we show up. The prosecutor says, oh, yuck, but police did this? So our go to fightthefines.com. Let's just show the new page. I don't think I told you this, but I know this is going to sound crazy, but we are, you're not going to believe me. Maybe we should roll the video. It's a little bit long. It's too long. Maybe we'll roll the first 2 minutes. Free lawyer for lockdown. Every single day, we're hearing more stories. We've actually represented over 150 people. We haven't. Some of them are being represented in bulk, in a group. A lot of them are Australians who are protesting together. Why don't you run the first 3 minutes of that video? And don't go away, everybody. I want to show you what we. Go ahead, pump it up. I have an important announcement, and I'd be grateful if you help me share it with everyone you can. That's fine. I am hiring a team of lawyers to defend every single Canadian who gets a lockdown ticket for not wearing a mask, for having a friend over, for letting kids play with each other, for hugging your grandmother, for opening your restaurant and trying to earn a living, for having a Christmas dinner, for living your life. If you get a ticket for any of that, come to me starting right now and continuing on through the Christmas season into the new year. Normally the words free lawyer don't go together, but that is what we're doing. If you get one of these outrageous, unconstitutional lockdown tickets, don't pay it. Don't plead guilty. Don't do it. We're not going to pay your fine. We will fight your fine. What have you got to lose? You can find out the details at fightthefines.com. You can go to that website right now and fill out a form telling us what happened to you. We'll have a lawyer reach out to you to get more information, including a copy of your ticket. We reserve the right to not take every case, but it is my plan to literally fight 1,000 tickets across Canada. 1,000. One of them could be yours. I know this sounds incredible, but we've been practicing on a smaller scale for 7 months now. We've worked out a system. We've set up a software program to keep track of all the cases. We've built an assembly line of lawyers, really. We're ready, and this insane, bullying, unscientific second lockdown wave means we've got to launch our new program right now. Go to fightthefines.com to check it out. If you need our help, fill out the form. And if you don't need help yourself but want to help other people, please consider helping us crowdfund the cost of these lawyers. I believe there are enough cases here to keep several lawyers and paralegals busy full-time, and a senior lawyer to manage them. I expect the next few months alone will cost $200,000 in legal bills, but we've got a system now that can handle $1,000. So when I first said to our general counsel, Aaron Rosenberg, when I said, I want to take 1,000 cases, I think he thought I was joking. But when I counted up all the cases we've done, it's close to 200. It's over 150. We haven't actually run those trials yet because, by the way, the courts are still fairly locked down themselves. But we've taken cases, we've written to the prosecutor, we've demanded disclosure, as they say. So if we can take over 100 cases, the number is actually over 175. Pardon me. Why not take 1,000? Get an assembly line going. Especially at this point, it's not particularly complicated. You just sort of write to the prosecutor. You say, we're here to contest this. We're the lawyer. Contact me. Provide disclosure. Disclosure is a term for what the cops have on you. When you're being charged with a ticket or crime, anything like that, you have the right to all the evidence touching your matter, including and especially anything exculpatory. Fancy word is saying anything that gets you off the hook. So it's actually, the first part is actually fairly, boilerplate, just like an assembly line. Take the case, look at the ticket, contact the prosecutor, go on the record. So I think we can take 1,000. That scared everybody around here, but we got that system, got that project management system, which I think is critical. So that's what we're going to do. I don't care if you think I'm crazy. We've done, I'd have to add it up. It's like 175. Why can't we do 1,000? And by the way, I don't think the tyrants have thought this through, because I showed you in that law we reviewed together, the courts are a check and balance. Just because a cop says something, just because a mayor says something, there's nothing lower than a mayor. Just because a public health bureaucrat says something, that's not the end of the story. You have to prove it to a judge. So you really think that they're going to have 1,000 trials for these tickets? Better start building some new courthouses and hire a lot more prosecutors, because we're going to be here for a while. I think it's a cash grab shakedown by a lot of these politicians. I think it's an attempt to scare people. I think it's taking care of their enemies list, whether it's Adams, the barbecue man in Toronto, or Pastor Pavlovsky in Calgary. All right, let's go through this. Anyway, I wanted to show you that because I'm very excited about that big project, and I think we have to do it. I gotta move much more quickly here. Martin Sable, $5 Liberal Doug, had Toronto Police guard his home. Good, nothing more happened in city all day yesterday as Adam Place in Old Rob fan base. I'm not thrilled about people protesting at Doug Ford's home. Doug Ford has a family. That's who's at his home. Doug Ford has an office. Go protest at the office, I don't like protesting in his home. John Tory, he doesn't have, the thing is, you have kids at home, that's the first question. So you have kids at home, you have a wife at home, something like that. I don't like protesting at home. Timothy Powell, 50 pounds, said thanks already, thanks again. JG, $5 support, rebel and freedom of speech, the Edmonton police I read that one already. COVID won't stay. Yeah, I'm skeptic on that Edmonton police thing. I got your email. Martin Sable again. Ford will be paying Hillier $20,000 a month to hand out vaccines. Why just 20? Why not make it $100,000 a month from taxpayers? You're talking about retired General Hillier, who I understand is in charge of handing out the vaccines. Yeah, I don't know why. I guess we don't have enough bureaucrats and we don't have enough taxes right now. It's just PR. It's just PR. Terra Sky, $5. Have you heard anything about Michael Arana of Arana Nation? He was the man taken down to the ground and arrested. Is he being held? Yeah, I learned that from David Menzies yesterday. I didn't know who that guy was. I didn't follow. I think I saw a tweet from the Toronto Police that someone was charged with assaulting an officer. That may have been him. It wouldn't surprise me if they dropped that charge. Spock Jones, $5. Thank you. Jack Krauser, $7. Time to use force. Protest won't do anything. Well, I'm going to politely disagree with you. For two reasons. First of all, let's just speak practically. I had a friend who was a cop, and he's a young guy. One of the things he loved saying is, I'm in the biggest gang in town. I just say the word, and 100 buddies are there with heavy artillery. And I thought, yeah, that must be pretty cool. And we saw it yesterday. So you're going to use force against 100 cops and horses? There's probably John Tory, knowing him, he probably has a tank. So first of all, you're going to lose. Second of all, you're going to lose support. You're going to lose moral authority. Because is that the rule now? We all get to use violence. We don't get our way. And third of all, it's an admission that you can't persuade people. We're not under a true tyranny. There's tyrannical aspects of it. But it's like when people call Trump a fascist dictator. Well, if so, he's doing a pretty poor job of it. So I reject what you say. Ken Tate, $10. Ezra, I salute you. You've been carrying the torch long before these present ominous clouds ever appeared. Thank you. Well, liberty erodes over time. It atrophies. It just has to be shored up all the time. Spock Jones, $5. Thank you. Greg Graham, $5. Ezra, check out Brian Craig's show on YouTube, 6 to 9 Eastern Time, Monday to Friday. Awesome conservative talk, very pro-Trump. All right. Look, I don't even have enough time to watch all of our stuff, to be honest. We're producing so much stuff these days. And you know what? It's great, but I literally don't have time to, I'm working. Mike Offerhouse, $5. Please read the preamble of the Emergency Act. I think it supersedes everything that you're talking about this morning on these newly written laws. Okay. And that's what I was alluding to. There's a lot of laws out there, but the tweet I was responding to in the Toronto Star specifically mentioned the law that we went through. But I will. Thank you. I simply don't believe a public health officer or a mayor can just commandeer 100 cops. I don't believe that that is how our system works. I don't believe that. I think there's the police commission, there's the police chief, there's judges with warrants and orders. I do not believe that that's that way. I don't. CP, $5. CDC announced via US Today that the total deaths in the US did not budge and is in line year over years. The info started trending back in July. Pardon me. I'm drinking Dr. Pepper today, and it's giving me the hiccups. It's 12:56. Why don't we spend 2 minutes on that graph we were looking at today? Statistics Canada tracks a lot of unusual information. We're going to take a 2-minute detour. Weekly death counts. So what you see here, let me explain it. Thank you, Justin. Every colored line here is a different year. So blue is 2014, orange is 2015, green is 2016, red 2017, purple, and then the year we're in now, 2020, is the dotted line. So these are weekly deaths. And you can see in the bottom, first week of January, second week of January, third week of January, and then you see February, March, April, right? So you can see that the deaths, the weekly deaths, falls in the summer and rises in the winter. That's just how it is. I think the flu is probably part of that. So on any given winter day, week, pardon me, any given week in the winter, 6,000 Canadians die. Any given week in the summer, 5,000 Canadians die. You'll notice the left-hand axis here, it doesn't start at 0. So this is like a close-up. If you were to actually have it to scale and 0, you probably wouldn't even be able to see that curve very well. But it is noticeable that in April, deaths spiked. Do you see that? That's the dotted line, April 2020. It went from what is normally 5,000 deaths to 6,500 deaths. And we know that happened. By the way, look where the dotted line is now. It's lower than at any time in the last few years for this season. So there was the spike in April. Then things got under control in May and June. And now the number of Canadians dying on any given week is the lowest it's been in years. We're going to go a few minutes long here because I want to show you one more thing. So now scroll up. Let's control for age. Let's look at, I don't want to look at 0 to 44 years because that really measures accidents. If you're dying under 44, it's because of an accident. Let's do 85 years and over. That's the COVID demographic. So you can see, look at that blue line on the right, by the way, on the far right. So in 2014, I don't know what was going on then, but that was just a couple hundred deaths less than the COVID panic. So it is true that this year, the virus for people over 85 increased the death toll by a couple hundred per week. It's very true. But it's also true that, look at that purple line on the left, the purple on the far left. In January 2016, is that what that says? Or 18? 2018? I don't know what was going on, but it's pretty much as high. But it's true that for April, there was a spike. You can't deny it. I can see it right there. But now let's toggle that for, what are the different age choices there? Let's do 45 to 64. You can't even tell. Where's the dotted line is 2020. It's normal. There's no difference, except for in the last few weeks, it's like plunged. I choose 45 to 64 because you're starting to get into diseases there. Under 4, if you're dying under 44, odds are it's an accident, traffic accident, something like that. So for people 45 to 64, this has been an unremarkable year, other than for the past few weeks, no one seems to be dying. Do 65 to 85. Okay, you can see there were some COVID deaths in the spring, and again, the dotted line is low now. Let's do one more thing. Go to British Columbia. And then go to, It's not, I mean, what's another place? Nova Scotia, let's take a look. Yeah. Go, and then toggle it to all, the age to all. Can you, I can't even see, I can see the dotted line there. Yeah, so really the death rate in weekly deaths in Nova Scotia, unchanged. Give me Alberta. So weekly death counts reported by Alberta, all ages and both sexes. I can sort of see the dotted line there. It's a little bit higher. Give me New Brunswick. It's not, you can't even see it. It's actually, yeah, give me Manitoba. Yeah, can't even see it. I don't know what that orange thing is on the left. That was a bad year. Give me Saskatchewan, last one. Yeah, I can't even see it there. Again, that blue line. Thanks very much. So what's that? What did we just spend 5 minutes doing? Thank you for poking around. I'm showing you that it is a fact that in April, there were excess deaths, as they say, compared to the norm, but not shockingly high compared to bad flu years. But when you control for different age groups, there is no difference. In fact, now the death rate is lower than on a normal year. Where did I get these stats from? That was Statistics Canada. That's an interesting tool, isn't it? Let's whip through these. I just wanted to show that because I only saw that page yesterday. I started poking around. I thought there's some interesting stuff there. Maybe we can pull that out as an excerpt, along with my layman's of that law. And I stand to be corrected. I look forward to being corrected. I'm going to move really fast now. Stan Spamford, 2020. Ezra, please comment on Alberta's use of emergency alert network to announce tweaks to the COVID restrictions. Yeah, I don't like these emergency alert networks. First of all, who gives you the right to enter my phone? Then maybe I'll opt to get warnings, but I don't like your ability to, like Big Brother, come right into my phone. That was in the book 1984. It was what do they call it? A telescreen or something they called it in 1984. Margaret Granny McKay, $14. Ezra, please keep sharing the law. Law is what Canadians need. Thank you, Ezra, for helping Canadian Scottish families. Laugh out loud. My name McKay. Mackay. And the Cross of St. Andrews. Well, I have a great affection for Scots. Sometimes people say Ezra Levant. Is that Scottish? Jason Jones, $5. Hello from Kentucky. I think every business that was forced to close should send their bills to the politicians or file economic harassment charges. Well, I just say, if anyone's locked down, politicians should be locked down too. You won't see a lot of lockdowns, will you? Anna Jen, $5. He already didn't have his restaurant up to health standards apparently, and he could have just offered takeout if he was that worried about his business. Anna, I dispute your statement that he wasn't up to health standards. I dispute that. Unless you have any basis for that, I think you're just making that up. I myself have attended his Leaside location in the before times, and it was excellent. I've never heard a health accusation against him. So unless you have proof, I dispute that. Ray W., 20 quid. Thanks, mate. I understand the term CINO, conservative name only. That's right. There's Rhino in the States, Republican in name only. Sharon Martin, $20. Thank you for all that you do. Well, that's nice of you, Sharon. Thank you. Amanda Stats, $7. There has to be at least one or two police officers that think this is all BS. Have you heard of any? If any are watching, please stand up and speak out. Oh, well, they'll be fired immediately if they do. Sydney McNichol, $10. My credit card is a mess, but nothing is for free, including our media. I don't even care about money now. Freedom is essential. Rise up. Courage is required. Yeah, well, we're one of the few media in the country that don't take money from Justin Trudeau, and it shows. Maxim Dor, $10. Thanks for having a voice for the community and people that would not be heard fighting these fines. That's what your godsend. That's nice of you. Credit to David Menzies, who's been on the scene, and Lincoln, who did such a good job yesterday. Andrew Chapados was down there too, so we got a good team. And of course, the editors working hard around here. Kyrie Layson, $10. I'm an American and I'm standing with my Canadian brothers and sisters fighting against the CV 1984. Please look up Dr. Rainer Fulmick. He's a good doctor fighting against this HOAX. You know, I tell you, if I were to read that without the censorship warning, we'd get a YouTube strike. That's how censorious they are on this. Mad Cow Mark, 10 Australian dollars. COVID shut our hairdressing salon for 11 weeks in Melbourne, Australia. Well, then I don't need to tell you about Avi Yamini, who I tell you, pound for pound, he is probably been the most effective rebel in the last 90 days since he joined us. I mean, just in terms of turning that discussion around. We've got great people here in Canada. I can hardly wait to show you our new teammate in UK. He's working on his first video right now. I don't want to jump the gun. When that first video is ready, I expect to show it to you maybe Wednesday. We got boots on the ground in the UK again. How exciting is that? I love all our people, but you know what? Avi Yamini. I'm not going to say single-handedly because we're part of his team here and he's worked with other people on the ground there, but boy, has he helped in Victoria, the state of Australia. That's my view. Justin Thompson, $28. Hey guys, not sure if this was covered. Can we not erect a tent city around Adams barbecue? And then he'll be provided with free security, outhouses and peace. Keep up the good work, Rebel News. Isn't that the truth? What a comparison. What a comparison, how they treat the good guys and the bad guys. Last night, there was a blockade of a major road in Toronto, Yonge and Dundas, Yonge Street. Everyone's heard in Canada has heard of Yonge Street. It's the longest street in Canada. It's the central north-south artery of Toronto, and it was blocked by political protesters. Police didn't touch them. No war horses, no arrests, no one jailed, no one handcuffed, because, hey, they had the right point of view. David Gann, $5. Is there a viable alternative to YouTube? Should they ban all who dissent? Proud to be a supporter from south of the U.S.-Canada border. Thank you, David. I do not as yet know of a viable alternative to YouTube. There are surely sites that have similar technical abilities, but I think it's what they call the network effect. My point is, if everyone's on YouTube, that's where you have to be. YouTube is the world's second largest search engine. So, I mean, I remember meeting the president of Gab a few years back, and he said, well, we got 300,000 people in the system. I almost have 300,000 personal followers on Twitter. So even if Gab is better, and I know Parler is growing, but if you're the only one on a system, it could be a great system, but if you're the only one there, what good is it? So that's the trouble, is that the dominant systems are the censorious and the leftist ones. You can start one, but it's going to be you by yourself. Now, maybe that'll change with Parler. The trouble is, it gets any growth and boom, it'll be cut off. It'll be banned from the App Store on Apple and Android. It'll be banned from PayPal or Stripe. So they will deplatform it, mark my words. Maximum Door, $10. Keep up the good work. Co-create happy, $10. Pretty sure number of flus go up in the fall and winter thanks to mercury-laden flu shots. I don't know about that. Maximum Door, $5. Is Adamson barbecue open today, or what's the deal with that so far? I don't think it's open today because I think he's in jail. Canadian Patriot, $20. Fear is keeping COVID hoax going. Love Rebel. See, if I were to even say that word without that warning, censorship notice, we'd get a policy strike. Terrian, $5. Is it constitutional in Alberta to lock down people's homes? Would this stand up in court in your opinion? It would not stand up in court. The test in our Charter of Rights was a crystallization of long-standing rights and freedoms in Canada in a certain document that was brought back from the UK in 1982, along with our Constitution Act 1982, and it lists a number of our rights. Those rights can be, as the saying goes, subject to reasonable limits in a free and democratic society. So there are some limits, but they have to be demonstrably justifiable limits. So the government can limit your freedoms, but they have to demonstrate it. They have to justify it. And the legal test is called the Oakes test, named after the case. So is the limit rationally connected to the public policy goal? Is it minimal impairment? That is, to get this public policy goal, did they do the least damage to your freedom possible? Is it proportionate to the gravity of the situation? I just don't think there's been a constitutional hearing in Canada yet over any of these lockdown matters. Do you? I haven't heard of one. Lisa McD, $5. Dr. Nashi at MCI Morningside refused treatment without a COVID test in isolation for a sinus infection. Yeah, there's a lot of freelancing by people who are going beyond what the law requires. Alex David Duke, $20. Excellent coverage by David Menzies. Yeah, he's doing great. Thanks, Alex. Cindy McNichol, $10. Thank you. Well, thank you. £5 from Ray W. What are your thoughts on Kanzuk? Well, listen, I love the Commonwealth. I love the UK. I've been to Australia. I like it. I've never been to New Zealand. Yeah, I mean, that's basically the Five Eyes without the United States. I think it's great to strengthen it. I see that the Canada-UK free trade agreement was firmed up a bit. I have no beef with Kanzuk at all. Sometimes I worry, is that an attempt to sort of push away from America? Garg 710, $5. Smoked meat is essential. Ain't that the truth? Crazy Ferret Lady, 20 Norwegian kroner. Donate on D Live. Read messages live on PukeTube. I know there's different ways of handling it, and I'm just not smart enough to do that, but maybe Justin and the rest of the team are. Mike Offerhouse, $2. Make Adam Skelly t-shirts. He's a Canadian hero. Well, I think we might have some coming. I sent some ideas. I sent some ideas to Sarah this morning, so hopefully we'll get those. I think I'm caught up on the Super Chats. Am I caught up on the Super Chats? Justin tells me one more just came in. Dr. $5 would be curious to see a list of businesses that open in Defiance. Well, I would be more than curious. I would be delighted, and they will face the full brunt of De Villa. I think I'm right on the law. The reason I went to that law is that's the one that Toronto Star tweeted about. I should get that CP24 clip that she was referring to. I do not believe there's anything in that law that gives her the power to order the police to do anything. There are two aspects of that law that allow her to go to court to ask a judge to order the police to do two limited things: arrest a guy who's going around coughing on things, or get into a place that you were shut out of. Those are the two things that law permits her to use police for. Neither of those things are happening here. I think she broke the law. A couple more just came in. I got to go sort of soon, but I'll read some more. You know, we bring in lunch here sometimes, and we've had people down at Adamson's barbecue for several days in a row, and I always say to them, can you pick up some smoked meat? Can you pick up some brisket? And we had a big talk about smoked turkey, the underrated meat of the smoked meats. And every time they come back and they say, Ezra, we were too busy filming things. And I say, fine. It's true, they were. I mean, that footage by Lincoln, world class. But one of these days, we will get some Adamson barbecue here. I remember when Zane Kaplansky was open, and we found a way to get Zane to come on Sun News Network once a month. We just made some excuse to invite him, and he would bring the smoked meat, and he would carve it right there, and he'd bring the rye and the mustard. And I remember thinking, because I got a Yiddisher cop, I said, you know what? If it's just me and Zane, I'm going to be talking in the interview. Can you see the obvious problem? So I remember I invited Laurie Goldstein of the Toronto Sun on with me, so I could sort of start the conversation and then let those two guys talk amongst themselves while I ate the sandwich. I'm getting mouth-watering just thinking about it. Maybe for our Christmas dinner, we'll be able to bring in some smoked meat. You know, normally we go to this Portuguese Italian place nearby. I would like to get some Adamson's barbecue for our Christmas dinner. Smoked brisket, smoked turkey. I'm not a pork guy, but I hear the pork ribs are great, people say. Thanks for letting me tell you that. Rodney Manser, $20, you are amazing. No, you're amazing. Shmooju, $5. Ezra, can you put the link to that mortality graph in the chat? Can you do that? Yeah, you could. Thanks very much, sir. You could poke around in there. Just poke around. It's interesting. I mean, it's limited, but yeah, listen, there was a spike of weekly deaths in early April. That's when the pandemic peaked. Astro, $5. More diversity for Israel. You know what? I bought you may know I have a few websites out there. I bought JewsForBorders.com or something like that. I haven't used it yet. And I agree that every country should be able to have its own borders. Israel, But I'm a Canadian, and Canada should be able to have its own borders, and America should be able to have its own borders. And Ireland should be able to have its own borders, and Russia should be, every country should have its own borders. That's sort of what makes a country, isn't it? And I think what you're alluding to there is Israel's explicit policy of being a Jewish state. Now, there's also just under a fifth of the population is Muslim. There's a Christian population in Israel too. It's not as big. But you're right, it doesn't have an open immigration policy because it's worried about being washed away. It's an island, it's a little Jewish state in a large Muslim region. And I think that's what you're getting at there. Kurt 123, $40. Loved how the CBC wasn't welcome at the barbecue. Do they realize their families will have to live in the dystopia they're enabling? The elites will likely cast them aside with the rest of us eventually. Great work. The CBC truly thinks, every journalist truly thinks they're special. They think because they massage power, service power, submit to power, that they're respected by power. They're not. They're just useful idiots at best. Sometimes they're auditioning for a job as some politicians' press aide. You know, the journalism business has had a tough go because of the internet. So a lot of these ink-stained wretches who are making, let's say, 60 or 70 grand a year think, I'm going to get a job for 130 grand a year as that politician's communications director. So I'm going to totally suck up. For the next 2 years, I'm going to give him loving coverage, and then maybe he'll bring me aboard, cut my hours in half, double my pay. I'll get a pension, Bob's your uncle. How many journalists go on to work for the Liberal Party? It's such a large number, it's almost quicker to list the ones that don't. So yeah. Is that the one I just read? Yeah, I think so. Hey guys, I just hear in my ear from Justin that we are going to publish a video from Key and Bexley right after this. Is it the Walmart one? I think it's one about Walmart. And I watched this video and it's very good. And then 1 hour later, we're going to premiere David Menzies' latest on Adamson. So there's a lot of TV viewing coming your way. I'm going to bid you adieu. Thanks for joining me today. We got one more super chat that I'm going to read before I go. CA, $5. Israel has the same population as Sweden, and a nation is its blood, not its borders. You know this. Oh, is that from Astro? Is that who it's from? Okay, well, nation comes from the word natal, same root. It means to be born, a place where people are born, a nationality, a nationalism. It's too late right now to get into a discussion about that because I got to get off the show. We're 20 minutes late right now anyways. We got to roll a new Kean video, and we got to roll a new David video. But we can talk about that subject another time. I just got to get off the TV right now. Do we have a dog video today? We do. All right, good super chats. Thanks everybody. Thanks for watching. If you learn more about the law, and how would you learn? Just read it. I really don't think there's any Canadian experts on these laws that we were dealing with because they're so new. The version we were looking at, I think, was in July 2020. There's no expert in that. So if you find something on that, let me know. But I think I found something there. Don't you think? I'm going to say goodbye now. I got a show tonight. I'm going to talk about the U.S. Supreme Court. I'm going to take a break from the pandemic, sort of, because I'm going to go over the U.S. Supreme Court's ruling on Governor Cuomo's lockdown rules. So I guess it is about the pandemic, but it's really more about the Supreme Court and how that's like under Donald Trump. It's an amazing victory for freedom and a rebuke of Governor Cuomo. I tell you, I enjoyed reading that ruling tremendously. I enjoyed reading Judge Sotomayor's liberal tears as she lamented how the court was no longer an Obama court. It was great. You want to feel good? You want to feel good? I'm going to... Oh, the one from the... Which legislature? From the Alberta legislature? Okay. You know what? I'm hearing that it is... the video is not the one that I thought it was. It's... Kean was at a legislature, the Alberta legislature. Before I go, give me 1 second. What I'm going to do is I'm going to paste right into the super chat. I want to give you some, I'm not going to call it homework. I'm going to give you some pleasant reading. Let me see if I can do this right. Supreme Court ruling in the U.S. Okay, I don't know if I did that right. But I just put in there the big Supreme Court ruling. Yeah, I think it worked. The language is not too dense. You can read it. You want to feel better about things? You want to feel good? Read that ruling. That's Trump's legacy. Last super chat, Kenneth Melnichuk, $7. In the past, men have been executed for following orders. Thank you, Rebel, for your great work. Yeah, now I'm not going to equate what the cops did yesterday with Nazism, but there's too much conformity, too much obedience, not enough checks and balances. That's another reason I love that Supreme Court case I just posted there. Friends, I got to go. Justin's got a dog video. He's curated it. I haven't even seen it before. I'll say goodbye now. Join me tonight at 8 p.m. I'll go through the Supreme Court ruling on my premium show. Go to Rebel News Plus. Hey, can you do one last thing before we go? Can you click like and subscribe on this video? Because we gotta boost ourselves because we're de-boosted in the YouTube algorithm. So if you can like and subscribe, I'd be grateful. One more super chat just sneaked in. 50 smackers from Neo Dental. Well, ain't that friendly? Thank you very much for that. All right, here's the dog video. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Okay. Allez, faites pas.